Who are we here at Off the Record, you ask? Well, I guess you'll have to find out.
We experience a lot of hidden agendas and things that are not usually known to everyone. That's pretty much off the record for everyone, so no one really knows the true meaning or what they're trying, or what their true intent of, leadership might be. And we hope to share with everyone what's going on.
Section 7, and this is the ones that are affected by this one right here.
To have open discussions and not left or right, but neutral ground, and have everyone have a voice and come to an understanding, and hopefully come to neutral ground.
Around universities and sharing certain policies that people may not.
You're gonna want to hear this.
Off the record, I can't tell you how much I've heard that dreaded saying as a former reporter. The saying of off the record.
When we're divided, we fall. It's very simple. When we're divided, we fall. We need to come together. Bug's Life is the perfect movie, for example, is if we keep them divided, they're going to fight each other and not fight, for example, the government.
It's what we pray for. It's what we pray for. It's what we pray for. The time's
Hello
come to
and
rain.
welcome back. I'm your host, Stephanie Costigan, and this is the dashing Jerem.
How you doing, guys?
And you're watching Off the Record Canada. And today we have done our third Spectrum Street epistemology.
It was quite eventful and quite fun actually today. So, well, yeah, I think it was, for me, it was my favorite one so far, because your first one was pretty good. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for all of it.
I know, you missed the big group, but you kind of had a big group today. Okay,
Yeah.
So what did we talk about this time? This time we held a different statement. Okay, so this time we went to SAIT University. SAIT, thank you.
SAIT.
SAIT University. What's its full name?
I couldn't tell you. I
like
agree with that. It's Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. That is SAIT. There you go.
The statement we went with, Canadians would benefit with allowing political leaders to amend or change Section 33 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. So that's the statement we took today. Okay. And I don't know, how do you think it went?
I think it went relatively well. Like, I wouldn't say, we were perfect. It's also a great experience because these are epistemology, social, quizzes or just asking people about it. It's a great way to kind of feel it out and actually learn ourselves, teaching and learning at the same time. So I think it's always educational when we hear people's perspectives. Like we said the last time with our last interview or our last, visit with, Mount Royal about the Harms Act and all that, right? It was a great experience. We learned a lot as we went because, people have different perspectives and different takes on it. And, I think it was great because of the opportunity to not only, because, mostly I was informing, but one was really, really informative today. And I thought, you know what, this is why we're here. And that's why we talk to people about this. Because, people have different perspectives and then, they bring a different thought to the table. It's like, yes, thank you. It gives me more perspective.
This time I kind of took a step back because Jerem really studied up on the bill. I looked into it, but he learned the whole history of why the bill was created, what year it was, the purposes, when it has been used, and I just let Jerem do most of the explaining because he was just killing it with the history behind this bill, which I feel is really important. So maybe we'll actually look at some of the footage from that time. So we'll take a peek now.
Agree that there's a need for an amendment, or just keep it the way it is, kind of thing.
It is.
Okay, so with this, you disagree then that political parties should amend this?
I mean, they should keep Section 33. I think so.
Yeah, then you would be in disagree with this. So if you want to stand, where in disagree do you think you would be?
I think I would say disagree. Because if there's like I said, if there's things like the teacher strike or things happening in the world where because society and things change over time. So if things are put into a permanent effect, just think about the process when it comes to taking down those laws and bringing up new ones.
3, what it is basically giving more control to the government more than the people. So basically, notwithstanding the current freedoms we have, it overrides our freedoms.
If you said that, I would have slightly disagreed.
Then you can move over if you want. That's why I'm kind of bringing it, because for me, I'm kind of a neutral stance on this.
Yeah.
There's a good thing and a bad thing. The ugly is, it can be, in the wrong hands, it can be a terrible tool. But in great hands, it can be a wonderful tool. It's only 5 years, that's a great thing. But if it gets amended, changed, it can change a huge problem. It can be a greater tool or a worse tool.
Definitely.
And when in the wrong hands, it can be something that we just wish we abolish altogether, kind of thing.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you know how you said the government is supposed to govern the country, and you said they're doing this if it benefits the government. You said they're doing this more for business. So is this kind of to support because I'm assuming that Canada is a capitalist country.
Yes.
Is that what they're trying to support in terms of when it comes to the economy?
If they amend this, it would become more what were you saying?
So basically, it really depends on how they do it, because we don't know what they're amending.
If they took away the period, like you said,
yeah, if
would that make Canada?
They'll make the country more authoritarian, which is kind of not communism, but it's kind of step towards it, which means that we have no say.
Exactly.
Because we want a say in what we want. But the fact is that basically they can just go, because basically your people you choose basically have the right to choose for you. Do we want to choose what we want, or do we want them to choose what they want? And that's where the problem is, right? We choose our parties for our rights and freedoms and for what we want. But if they choose for what they want, then that's where the problem comes in.
I mean, it really depends, because I don't say I disagree with you. I'm saying there's a line that's being drawn, and I feel there's things where it'll pass that, and if it completely goes against us, then I guess we're all done for, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be more specific, let's not look at the political parties as parties, but rather as businesses. So if a business has this kind of power over the people, they're going to obviously kind of amend it towards helping their cause or their party.
That makes sense. But what are some examples that you currently see?
Well, okay, we've done this at other universities, and basically, the proposed bill we talked about was Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, and Bill C-63, the Online Harm Act. So it's basically, from what we see, it depends on the party. That's the thing. So it depends on which party's amending it. In this case, would be Mark Carney, right? So we see what kind of causes he's presenting and what's important to him. So we know that, he wants to make our hate speech laws what way he goes about it.
Yeah, I like your rebuttal and your responses, and I feel the reason why I stand in between slightly disagree and neutral is because I feel as people who live in Canada, we should have some trust for our government, at least, because we
I don't be careful of this thing. This thing can be improved, and also can be really hurtful at the same time. If it's been amended the wrong way. But if it's affected by this very chart from this very section.
So this is more so advocating freedom.
So basically, this thing here is basically, it's kind of like a safety valve, you could say. Situations where it can be used, like kind of tweaking the constitution and the freedoms as it is. So basically, temporarily, it will just go, it will turn off after 5 years. So after 5 years, they might pass a bill, and after 5 years, it's gone. After 5 years, we don't have to worry about this bill anymore.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's not terrible. But what it can be terrible about it is if they decided to amend it to where the 5 years is indefinite. So basically, like they say, like, okay, you know, you can't never go to church again, for example, an example, right? Or if you decided, if like certain situations where it may amend it, and like for example, like in 1986 in Saskatchewan, the problem.
Always just force people to go back to work, no matter if they want to strike or not.
Right. So there's an issue there, right? It's a great thing, but a bad thing. Only used in moderation. Only when it's needed. Because we need a freedom of expression, and that's where the freedom of rights and freedoms is great. But the fact is that if it's been abused, and that's where we have our parties come into play, right? You know, our parties we choose is like they have the best interest for the people. Because us as the people, we have freedoms, we have rights, we want this, we want that. That's our freedoms right now. But if they decide to abuse it, that's a problem. That's going against the democracy, and it goes against us as the people wanting the freedoms. But what is your thoughts on this, though? Do you think we need an amendment, or do you think we should just leave it as it is, or whatever? What are your thoughts? If you're on the spectrum here, where would you make it so because where it can be abused is they can make it so that our country can become more authoritarian. I don't know if you know what that means. Yeah, so authoritarian, that's kind of leaning into communism here. We don't want to be going to communism here. We want to avoid that, and that is kind of, if they take away the right of actually just simply the 5 years, that is teetering into authoritarian. They can just simply go, okay, I don't like this, and I can just change things and just erase everything as we know it. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen Animal Farm. I don't know if you've heard of the movie. You've seen it, Animal Farm?
I think so.
Yeah, like how the pigs kept changing the rules and stuff like that. That's pretty much what they could do. Just like, you know what? I don't like this rule. I'm going to change it. And that's where Animal Farm can apply in this literal sense. So, in the sense, where would you stand on this spectrum if you were, if like for me, if you were to amend it in a bad or good way, or we don't even know yet, but where would you stand?
Neutral. I stand in the middle.
Why would you say neutral?
Because it could play both ways, you know. It could go either or. So therefore,
I agree with you.
You never have a decision to where it's gonna go. So
no, like until I know for certain what it is, I can't really say I strongly agree or agree. Exactly. If they take away the guardrail of 5 years, I say, heck no, strongly disagree. Don't touch that. But if it is something, because that's why the beauty of 5 years is there. Because how often do we have elections? 4 years. 4 years. So after that time, I knew, like, if we decided to party, it's like, hey, I don't like this bill. Don't let these guys back in, because they can just redo that bill again and again and again, which is.
Hey folks, we're back.
So I don't know what you thought about all that footage and all the things that was said and you know what went down. There was a lot, and I don't know. For me, I think it was great for everyone to be aware, and I really enjoyed the participation at the college. We weren't there that long. We were there for approximately 2.5 hours, if not 2 hours at the most, at the least. Sorry, and I think it was an amazing experience for the two of us. Like, people were willing to talk, some people were willing to admit, and some people were actually willing to research. You know, there were very, very good students amongst them.
Yeah, and also we had even some older people participate as well, which we really appreciated. I know that, again, like, we get very mixed signals sometimes where people are like, okay, what is their purpose? Or some people are like, don't make eye contact. They might, like, suck us in or something, you know? Yeah. Which is okay. We respect people's boundaries and what they choose to do or not to do is totally fine. We're not here to push or to, we're not here to push any narrative or agenda. We're just here to hear out people's opinions about certain policies and, just really to break up that group polarization, mob mentality, and echo chambers and find out that, just like James said when he was here, is that we do have actually a lot in common. James isn't with us today, but he will be here in the next session.
That's the hope. That's the plan.
That's the plan. Yeah, I don't know. So what comments, I guess, stood out to you today?
Well, for me, I think that mostly everyone agreed with my stance on it, because I was feeling pretty neutral about it, about the stance of the amendment or the change of Section 33, because Section 33 is great. It is it's a great important thing we can use to our benefit when the situation calls for it, so long as it's not abused. And so the one opinion I heard, shout out to Elijah. He did a great job in setting out a thought that I was like, you know what, I really appreciate that. Like he mentioned about how, because then if we were to change it, I was thinking, okay, one or the other, like more guardrails, or just simply try to avoid and just don't change it at all with maybe getting rid of the 5-year thing, because currently as it stands, with Section 33, with the notwithstanding the section, basically it makes it so that if they use it, it expires after 5 years after they use a bill. And so he mentioned that, it's better just to leave it alone, no guardrails, because if we add guardrails, if there was an amendment, because I was like, well, if there's an amendment, I wouldn't mind it, and more like kind of the prevention of using it too much. But he pointed out, I think it's fine the way it is. And, it was a good point, because, other political parties and everything will use it to their advantage and make it so that others can't take advantage of it, and it could cause issues in the future. And you know what, I can say for certain that, after that opinion, is like, you know what, I feel like I can slightly disagree with the change now, or kind of leaning towards the disagree section because of his thoughts on that. Because before it was like, more neutral, like, yeah, it could be good, it could be bad.
He made some really powerful points. Actually, let's take a look at some of Elijah's footage. So, here we go.
Right. It's like a valve.
Yeah, it's like a valve.
So it's like a valve, and it can be a double-edged sword depending who uses it. There's some gray area in it.
Okay. What I was saying was that the Canadian government, as it is, a lot of the decisions made by both Liberals and Conservatives from both the provincial and federal level are made in spite of the other side. So they don't really make many decisions going, oh, this would be a good thing to do, or this is a necessary thing. They go, this is just going to reverse what they did and make us look good.
That is such a beautiful point, actually.
And
That's such a good point.
And so if you give them the right to put in more guardrails, all that really does is allow one side to put in guardrails pretty much against the other side, because they can say, well, now you can't do this because I amended this to have more limits.
It's true. It's kind of like a fight, like they're pulling the teddy bear back and forth. That's a really good point.
I do appreciate that thought, because I haven't really thought about the fact it can be used against the other one, because I don't know, because for me.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, he makes really good points, and I think it's so true, though, that what he's saying is, like, we're seeing this pattern of politicians that are basically, like, every time, for example, I think he mentioned, like, here in Alberta, Conservatives versus NDPs. So basically when NDP...
Or Liberals, whatever, yeah.
When NDPs get in, they basically undo everything the conservatives have done. And then when the conservatives get in, they undo everything the NDP have done. And
it's a tug of war. Yeah.
It's a tug of war, and it's not set necessarily in the best interest of the people, but it's kind of despite each other's party. So I feel like they're kind of caught up in group polarization within their parties, and that's what's also spreading the group polarization into our communities. And I'm like, it shouldn't, I don't know, I might get some hate on this, but it shouldn't matter who's the leader. And what I mean with that is it shouldn't matter whether it's a liberal or conservative leader. What should matter is that they're doing the best interest for the people, not just putting policies despite their opposing, you could say, their nemesis. And that's a point he made, and I completely agree with that. Like, I'm like, actually, yeah, that's quite true.
Because, the Section 33 ultimately it's like basically, because, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is basically how we conduct ourselves and how we live. But there's one thing that, they have control over is Section 33, which basically gives the governing to govern the people. Basically using 33 to help, to govern us.
It's like a tool. It's Section 33 holds up the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but it's a double-edged sword. And the reason it's a double-edged sword is it's technically a tool for our political leaders to use while governing us. But it depends what hands and what the purpose and what their intent is of using it.
Right.
So, and the reason he doesn't agree, Elijah was mentioning he didn't agree with amending it, is because what we're seeing is a pattern of political parties just trying to one-up their nemesis.
Or causing more issues to the other one.
And it's not necessarily in the best interest for the people. It's just to one-up each other. And I'm like, you know what? I think ultimately the people, like I keep saying, the government is there to govern the people. And we, the people, should have the final say. We should.
Yeah. And that's where the party of the power of diplomacy comes in. Not diplomacy. Democracy. Why I keep saying diplomacy? Democracy. Democracy is important and key to this, because democracy makes it so we can choose who our leaders are, and choosing these things who can implement technically Section 33 for us, so they can go, this is important and we need to, changes for the circumstances that we're in. And if there's guardrails that increased, it'll make it problematic for the leadership to actually govern us in some way. And that would maybe benefit the other parties who they might have had something in place and make it harder. In the end of the day, it just causes problems for everyone. Because in the end of the day, everyone's going to side-eye, Canada for even using that, and that you take advantage of Section 33 because it's such a powerful tool, arsenal for our country, so long as being used correctly.
And maybe we should dive in a little bit more to just briefly what Section 33 entails. So Section 33 is the Notwithstanding Act.
Right, and I can even look over the very sections it affects, and the ones I'm just going to read over it. Sorry if I haven't got memorized, just bear with me. So here, Section 33 covers, I'm aware that it covers Section 2, 7, and 215. That's what it covers. So what it covers is Section 2, a freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including the press, freedom of peace, assembly, and freedom of association. That is Section 2. Now, 7 to 14. So 7 is life, liberty, and security of the person. And 8 is search or seizure. 9 is arbitrary detention or imprisonment. 10 is rights on arrest or detention. 11 is criminal proceedings. And 12 is cruel and unusual treatment or punishment. 13, self-incrimination, 14, interpretive rights, and 15 is pretty much involving the ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or disability. So those are the rights they cover. And so basically the government can override pretty much notwithstanding those currently in place and override them and do it for specific purposes.
Some of these purposes we have seen in the past, maybe more recent. Well, okay, we've seen it used or implemented during COVID. We've seen it implemented back in 1989. Is that 1986? So in 1986, just kind of similar to what's happening currently in Alberta, there was a teacher strike in Saskatchewan, and they couldn't come to a compromise or an understanding. Right. So they used that section to force the teachers back into work, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a good tool. Like, it can be good for the leadership and everyone else that may be kind of affected by it, but maybe it really sucks for those who, in the situation, the teachers. But it's a great tool for what it's meant for. It's a great tool because the teachers...
It's a powerful tool.
It is a powerful tool.
And it can be stacked. You should talk about... Well...
I don't have a lot of knowledge about it, but I understand that it can be stacked because you can literally... Because how powerful it is, because you literally just put a bill down and you kind of put another bill to put on top of the other bill to work with that other bill to make it even to kind of do something else. You can stack them. It's an interesting concept that I don't know if there has been a situation, but in theory there is a possibility of stacking this very bill on top of itself. This section on top of itself, which can be dangerous in its own right.
So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's a lot of people refer to it as a valve.
A valve, yes. It's because it's like we said, kind of like COVID, kind of like with the teacher strike, we can turn it on and off, because especially over time after 5 years, it expires.
Lasts, every 5 years it expires, and it has to be is it reinstated or renewed, kind of?
It can be renewed. It's also good because it's for the 5 years it lasts. Let's say that the Liberal Party decided to implement a bill, and as soon as they started, let's say that because Mark Carney started this year, if he decided to put in a bill, by the time the next government that may come in that may be still the Liberal Party or the one that may take over, they can say, you know what, we don't want that, and just kind of get rid of it. It will fizzle out after 5 years. So it won't. Unless they renew it, then it won't come back into play. So it's a good thing because it goes away over time. It's not something that is permanent.
Exactly. What are some memorable conversations, would you say, that you experienced this one? I know at one point you had a group of engineers that were...
Well, they weren't engineers, they were mechanics.
Mechanics, thank you. You had a group of mechanics that you were kind of explaining to them. Were there any interesting takeaways from that?
I think it was great because they were willing to listen, and I think, it was, because we kind of got into the topic of Animal Farm. I don't know if you heard of it, but,
Animal Farm's freaking awesome. You should. It's an older cartoon, but oh my goodness, it's interesting how much I think you can kind of recognize that relate it to current modern day. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, folks, history repeats itself always. It's crazy how much of a cycle us human beings go into.
Right, and it can be very scary using this bill in such an abusive way. That's why we why the touch on Animal Farm was important, because it was kind of if you can think of the visual of Animal Farm, how basically...
Don't go too much into it, because you're going to have your standalone piece.
I know, but the fact is that the pigs change the rules, and if you change basically, if it expires after 5 years, and if they make the amend it, sorry, that's the word, amend it, then there'll be an issue with that, which kind of would be like the pigs, changing the rules whenever they feel like it. But I'll get into that in my own talk and my own spill on that whole thing. But in the end of the day, it was a great talk of I was about to say the engineers, the mechanics, and they were very good, and we had a nice long talk with them. It was they were free to hear. Like, they didn't really speak up as a group, but they were willing to hear and to speak their own opinion.
They were very curious what we were about. They were curious about learning more about Section 33 and what would happen if it was amended, and how it is currently in use. So, yeah, it was interesting. I think a lot of people, and I think this is nice, like, I noticed a lot of people that would come up, look at it, and maybe they didn't want to voice an opinion, and that's totally okay, but it got them thinking, and they started looking into maybe this section or even bills that they haven't ever touched on before.
Or considered, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to learn, and it's important that we understand and know where our country's headed or what's at play, because
or what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly, because we are Canadians, we are the people, and if we feel that we want to be governed and we want to be able to have more of a say, then we also need to do our part as well, and we need to be on top of the ball, researching and understanding these policies, these sections, these bills, so that we understand if it really is in the best interest for Canadians.
I think what really got me thinking about this whole thing a lot is how this is important to all of us. Like Stephanie was saying, that the whole thing is important to really be aware of, because if we don't know about these things, we, like, for example, like the political party may be infringing on our rights
without us realizing.
With the Notwithstanding Act, for example, like, they may use it to infringe on us, and we don't even know about it. And when they implement it, and it's up to us to choose whether or not we actually continue to wanting that. If they may implement something that can infringe on our very rights with Section 2, 7 to 15, those freedoms and those rights can be infringed. And if we don't pay attention, those very rights are taken away, and they can just renew it again. Keep doing it. And we could just keep choosing that same leadership.
Well, not just that, is like in a more neutral way, like, if they're supposed to govern us and we're supposed to have more of a say, we need to let them know and be vocal and be like, hey, we don't think this is in the best interest, or, we don't want you taking away this freedom. I mean, it can depend on the circumstance, because that's the hardest thing about this, is it really depends on the circumstance. Like, it really does. It depends on the situation. And some situations are more complex than others. Like, I know Section 33 and whether to amend it or to keep it it's a very complex...
Well, not keep it, just simply amending it.
Amend it, thank you. It's a very complex section with so much layers, and it affects so many other sections.
Yes, and I think the biggest important thing I was trying to drive home with that, what I was saying before, is that we need to pay attention to what they're doing. Like, we don't want to we kind of simply assume everything because they're the governing, but we're meant to be watching the governing what they're doing.
Exactly. Like, and that goes for both sides, the conservatives and the liberals.
Anyone.
Both sides. It goes
like, honestly, that's why we don't simply say, like, the conservatives may, pass a bill that no one wants.
Exactly.
And it infringes on all our rights. And, the fact is that, I would be the first to say, hey, get out of there. I think that's why it's important that we pay attention. It doesn't matter which party it is.
It doesn't. That's why I'm saying, if we can take out this group polarization mentality and echo chambers and mob mentality, and it doesn't come down whether to conservative versus liberal, and it comes down to more of policies, we'll actually be able to have more of a balance. And that's what I was talking about with someone today, is I was like, if you think of the government like a table, like a glass table, okay? If you go, and you don't want to fall off this glass table, if you go too much to the right, you're going to fall off the ledge. If you go too much to the left, you're going to fall off the edge. The best and safest place to be on a glass table is right in the center.
Or just any table, really. But yeah, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you want to stay in the middle of the table, because the fact is that the more you push to one side onto the left, you will be pushing towards communism. You know, just if you keep pushing that way, it'll fall in such a bad way.
If you push too much on
to
the right, then you'll fall into fascism.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter which way you go, you're going somewhere. And it's going to go really bad for one or the other, because one is going to be elitism and the other one's going to be, majorityism.
And the truth is, though, when you look at both sides, they both have some powerful truths. They do.
They all have,
and they have some pros to them. And that's what I'm saying. Why can't we just be more balanced? Why can't we be in the center? Because actually, when we're more in the center, it's actually healthier and better for the community and for Canadians.
Well, because the fact is that it's less governance in some, it's not less, but it's more for the people and by the people.
But it should be.
Yeah, it's more for the people and by the people. It's something that's less controlled by governance.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are things and situations that we need our politicians to be involved in.
We need that.
We don't want to completely remove politicians. We need that. That's an important role.
Going back to Animal Farm.
But at the same time, I feel like things are a bit off balance, and we need to remind those leaders and politicians that it's to be more balanced. Whether they're right or left, they need a reminder. They need to remember that they're there to govern the people, not to choose or control the people, for any party's gain. It's for the betterment of the people. But anyways, yeah, so we had some great conversations.
Sorry we went on our own tangent.
Yeah. But
I think, honestly, it was a great experience. And, SAIT will be back.
Yeah, we're coming back, SAIT, so you better watch out.
Honestly, it was a great reception. It was a great experience, honestly. I still enjoyed Mount Royal. It was great.
Mount Royal was really fun. But SAIT is really fun too. It's funny because we come into these universities and colleges not knowing what to expect, and we kind of come with the gym. In closing, let us know. Drop a comment in there if you're at a certain university in Alberta and you want us to come. A university, college, don't care. Let us know where you're at and if you'd like to see us there. And if you're not in Alberta and you're somewhere else in Canada, let us know. You never know. We might surprise you. We might just pop by.
Yeah, like we also.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And thanks for watching Off the Record. Remember to give us some love, maybe with that little bell and that subscription. Much appreciated.
We really enjoy, your participation at the college or university anywhere. We appreciate it, and we would love to talk to you guys more, and even hearing your thoughts, or even don't be shy on Instagram. We've had a few messages already, and it's been great to talk to some people.
Exactly. And we are open for volunteers or people that want to join our team. Matter of fact, we might have someone from this actual street, Epistemology, that may be joining the team. So you'll see. Keep watching. You might see him join us as a new host. So stay tuned for that. Either he'll be a host or a volunteer. We'll see what this person would like. But yeah, stay tuned. You might see a new face among our team. But yeah.
See you all next time.